So you've successfully managed to navigate the never-ending or seemingly never-ending loading page in order to get into the game in the first place. Well, I'm sorry to say, that's just where your problems are going to start. It's not all bad news, thankfully. There have been some positives from my experience with the game. Now, there have been some changes to the input setup screen, which I'm not sure I like yet, but I'm not going to condemn it either. One good positive change, though, is that we can now set up individual aircraft with individual setups. Furthermore, it would appear that you can set up a base template which you can then apply to all aircraft, and then you can adjust and enhance on top of that and set that base as the default. So every plane you switch to will switch to that device, and then you can set up your controls on top of that. One of the key things I've noticed is when you have set up a button or an axis or whatever, previously when you press the button or move that axis, you would be able to see it overlaid on the button itself, so you could kind of confirm to yourself that it was in fact connected and working as intended. That has been removed for whatever reason. Maybe it's coming back at a later date, I don't know, but that certainly feels like a step backwards for me. And equally, if you try and select an element and put an input in other than the device you have selected, it will tell you that you're using the wrong device, but it doesn't give you the option to add that device or switch to that device to make your life easier. You have to do all that manually. I just think the whole input system could be better. One of the things I can mention, which probably unfortunately doesn't benefit many of you out there, but I have 2 Honeycomb Alpha yokes set up as part of my rig so that I can have a pilot and a co-pilot. The 2 devices used to conflict all the time in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. I'm glad to say that it seems to identify and recognize those independently now, and they don't appear is the best I can give you, to be conflicting in the same way that they were before. And equally, if you try and select an element and put an input in other than the device you have selected, it will tell you that you're using the wrong device, but it doesn't give you the option to add that device or switch to that device to make your life easier. You have to do all that manually. I just think the whole input system could be better. So I think given time with a bit of practice, maybe this is better than 2020, but I still believe there's an avenue or a gap for even more improvement. It could be even better, even more streamlined, even more friendly to the user, because one of the most complicated things about flight simulation is setting up your controllers and getting them just right and being able to adjust them as you see fit. Speaking of adjustments, they are now found over here, and it seems pretty similar as before. I haven't really played with this very much, and you'll understand why by the end of this video. So just one of the issues that I've encountered when logging in is that my career is not available. I was told that the career server was offline or inaccessible, and therefore I could not continue with my career. Now, this is obviously one of the big problems with always online games. We are 100% reliant on the servers and the connections to those servers being available when we want them. Now, there is an option to play offline. You can only set one device to do that, and I don't know what sort of limitations that's going to bring in, so that's something I'm going to have to look at over time. But certainly at the moment, I mean, it's very obvious that the connection to the servers and the stability of the servers is fragile at best. I'm sure they're working very hard on it, and I'm not going to condemn them for that, even though this has got to be one of the worst launches in history. I'm not going to condemn them for that, because they are, again, trying to do groundbreaking things, and I'm really hopeful they can make it work. I'm really hopeful that they're not too far away from a working system. That being said, there are some serious additional bugs that I've noticed. I've mentioned the career, not being able to get into the career. I've also tried to fly tutorial flights, and the Cessna 172 was not available. So again, this is an online thing. It checks what planes are available to you, and even in offline mode, if the game loads up and doesn't recognize that you have an aircraft in your collection, then you won't be able to fly it. So that is a bit of a concern. But the biggest concern that I found yesterday, I was trying to fly. I couldn't really do anything. Nothing was working. I had to reload multiple times just to get the Cessna 172 in the game. I got as far as doing a tutorial, and what I discovered was that even though my input was correctly set up, and you can see the animation of me giving the aircraft throttle and removing throttle was there, it was actively doing it, I was getting absolutely no throttle on the aircraft whatsoever. I tried one of the challenge activities as well, had exactly the same problem in that aircraft, but there are people who have actually set times, so there are times to beat in the challenge leagues, so someone somewhere has been able to do it. Whether they're on console, I don't know, but yeah, it's very much a mixed bag of problems right now, and they are across the board, and they are different. Every time I log in, I get different bugs, different issues. I think we're not going to get anything remotely solid till 2025, maybe somewhere in January. Feels like a reasonable amount of time to sort this out. It has been an atrocious launch. Once again, you know, if you've got your favourite YouTuber out there who always, you know, you always trust their content, if they're not telling you about these bugs and highlighting them to you and just keeping you abreast of how bad things are, then I think you should call them out on it. Because these are the people who, if nothing else, have the most influence over companies like Asobo and Microsoft. And if we want things to change and be improved, then we need everybody pulling in the same direction. Anyway, I thought I'd keep you up to date with what's going on. I'm hoping you guys have at least by now been able to log in and get maybe a practice flight or something. But if anything like me, then the problems are just every time you log in, you're getting different kind of problems. It's got to be one of the worst launches, I think, in history. But like I say, I'm not going to condemn them because they really are doing something totally out there. I mean, not just the always online connection system that's been done before, but just the entirety of the whole concept of streaming real world data across the internet for millions of people potentially at the same time. That's a huge undertaking, and I'm just hoping it is a possibility. I'm hoping they can figure out a way of making this work. It would be such a shame if it didn't work. I would be absolutely gutted, because despite all the issues, I'm still seeing and feeling a lot of positivity about this, which, I mean, coming from me, I think that's definitely showing some potential promise. But unfortunately, I cannot guarantee that it's going to be okay. I've just got my fingers crossed like everybody else. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.